I never know whether I want to keep my glasses on. Um, okay. So the title for this live
I never know whether I want to keep my glasses on.
is really
Um, okay.
explanatory.
So,
And sorry, we're having some audio issues here. I want to make sure I can see the comments. Where do I look at the comments here? Cool. Okay, so we're live. Lost fragments of me. If I'm not whole, where are my pieces? And I don't know what this title is making you think of it. Like, to me, that sounds pretty straightforward, what we're gonna cover today, but there are so many nuances to this topic, depths to it, concepts, and school of thoughts. So, as always, you're gonna be hearing um Ram Maria's perspective on this topic, and I'm gonna try to bring a mix of my self-knowledge, meaning what I've learned from my own experience, as well as some like Carl Jung and some spiritual points of views to this topic, and a little bit of the science of it as well. So let's get started. In case you're wondering, where is this beautiful city on the background? This is an AI picture, an AI representation of my hometown, the city I've lived in about for over 15 years. I would say the city where I have spent time the most is being here, where I'm at right now. But since 2011, I've left this town and I've been pretty much all over. And I guess this is a great introduction to this topic because if I've been all over, that means there are pieces of me in all kinds of places that I've traveled to, that I have lived on. And not sure if I should even be smiling or talking about this seriously. Maybe I should be crying or begging for this aspect of me to return to my body so I can reclaim my wholeness. But that's pretty much what life, I believe, is about when it comes to the spiritual path, when it comes to healing. Yes, you want to develop certain skills, certain spiritual traits and gifts, but ultimately, freedom comes from wholeness, comes from you finally living from a place of this is who I am. From now on, I'm just flowing with the river. There are no more blockages, and I can finally realize myself. I can finally be who I am without falling asleep and waking up, falling asleep and waking up. And this has happened to me in the past few years. This whole forgetting, remembering. Sometimes it's better to forget in order to remember. Sometimes it's better to forget in order to leave the present moment, to be in the present moment. But to me, the main thing is like, how can I stay and at a centered state, at a state where I'm not too awake at a point where I'm just gonna go out on the street and look at everybody as like, whoa, you were sleepy, you're awake, you sleepy, you awake. Like, I'm wise, you're ignorant, you are fermented, I'm whole, where my ego is literally like showing me that discrepancy, of like different states, which I have gone through it. Trust me. There has been times during my spiritual path that I felt like I brought my consciousness to a really high place where my energy was just flowing beautifully, and I would just see everything like through so much depth that people would not understand when I would look at them, when I would like through the way I would act. And it was quite challenging because everything that goes really high also comes down, right? What goes up must go down. But I believe what goes down also must go up. And I mean, I have so much to cover in this topic that I want to be concise, short, direct. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I have prepared here, which will help us to flow through this topic better. So I think I'm gonna use that, and then as we go along through each slide, it gets easier to understand better, what each topic is about. So the journey beyond our universe into this fascinating realm of parallel realities. Let's tap into how modern physics suggests our universe might be just one of many. So this presentation is very much like quantum physics um, based, and I'm gonna throw in personal experiences, wisdom from my own source. And again, you don't have to agree with everything, but if you resonate with at least 30-40% of what's being covered in this workshop, I'm really happy. So what are parallel realities? So there are three things we want to look into it. The fundamental concept. Parallel realities are hypothetical, self-contained planes of existence. They may coexist with our universe, yet remain undetectable. The quantum foundation, the theory stems from quantum mechanics. Particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed. Multiple connection. So these realities collectively from the universe. Our universe may be one bubble in a cosmic form. So there are different levels of parallel realities. We want to look at mathematical universes, abstract mathematical structures that exist as physical realities. Level 3, many worlds, quantum events create branching timelines. Level 2, bubble universes, separate regions with different physical laws. Level 1, infinite space, distant regions identical to ours. Physicists Max Tegmark's classification organized parallel universe by increasing abstraction. Each level builds upon the previous with more radical implications. So the scientific theory supporting parallel realities, like let's look into quantum superposition, string theory, eternal inflation theory. Quantum physics is not my main thing, so I'm definitely not gonna dive too deep into this. And like I mentioned, we want to look at this through for a realistic approach. Yeah. So according to the string theory, fundamental particles are tiny vibration strings. Each dimension may house parallel words. So what comes to you when you think of this tiny vibrating strings, right? That means really most of what's actually happening is not visible to the eye, which means when you're feeling something and you're interacting with somebody in an experience, there's energy flowing there. There's like quantum particles and fields communicating with one another, and that's always shifting. I remember when I wrote a song a few years ago called Change. Like I change when you change, it's always changing. And it's pretty much about like how I felt trapped because I would feel in a certain way and then I would interact with a different person or in a different circle and suddenly like my energy would shift. In other words, even like from a long distance, like if I'm here and I'm communicating to you on TikTok or on WhatsApp, like my field can literally be affected by your vibration there and my vibration here. And I've like experienced so much resistance to it because I felt like I was in control. Like at a certain point in my spiritual path, I felt like I had finally mastered like freedom. And my idea of freedom was like, well, I can always feel good now because I understand that it's about how I see things, how I am thinking, like what I'm saying to myself is shifting myself. And I felt like I was like in control and I was like, yes, I'm the queen here. But then I realized that it wasn't quite right because I kept attracting certain patterns, relationships, very much negative people. They say positive attracts positive and negative sometimes attracts negative. That's not true. Opposites do attract. So you might be in a very positive enlightened state and you attract somebody who is in a very negative, dark state. And that is true if the person who is in the positive state doesn't have enough awareness of the consequences of how that person in the negative state is affecting them, that then that person who is positive polarized might also become negative polarized and be influenced by the negative. So not all the times love wins. I'm sorry to say that. And I'm a big believer, and I can prove that to you based on my own experiences and what I have like seen from, like I said, the times when I felt like at my highest and I was influenced by the darkness, and my light wasn't sometimes stronger enough to contain there or to help me overcome it. So the only way for me out was out. There are times that the only way out is through, but there are other times when the only way out is out. So there are evidence and observations when it comes to the cosmic background anomalies and explaining cold spots in cosmic microwave background radiation might be imprints from colliding universes. If you're into quantum physics, this is worth to take a look at, especially this right here, quantum entanglement. Particles remain connected regardless of distance. Some interpret this as evidence of quantum multiverse interaction. So this is exactly what I'm saying, how many of you have this habit of waking up and immediately looking at your phone and start to interact with other people. You guys, the energy you get in the morning is supposed to be your like most powerful energy. It's like that energy that is like cosmic, divine, creative. You're supposed to feel like that drive to go out and get it. You're supposed to feel like passionate about the things you're doing. So when you interact with somebody else, maybe who is in China, who's just about to end the day and they are at a very low state and they are tired and they don't have all the particles, all the chemicals in the brain and everything, and the vibration is way lower than yours, and you interact with this, what do you think it's going to happen? And this also kind of brings on that topic of resonance, right? Like how sometimes you get in resonance with somebody else, and there are times that you're not supposed to get in sync. Like you're not supposed to be in sync with somebody who is in a different state of mind, because you're supposed to flow through this particular way and they have already flew through that particular way. So it's kind of like it's not really a match. Yeah, you will respond to them. It's not because you're attracting them, it's just because you're not connected and tapped into your field. So first thing in the morning before you respond to WhatsApp messages, I always encourage my clients, my mentees, to meditate, to do your morning routine, to go walk on the beach, do like small things that helps you like retrieve parts of yourself. Or another way to say is to wake up parts of your brain. Like you even though you might not be a big believer of these topics that and these concepts that I'm bringing here to you, you understand that there are parts of your brain that sometimes seem sleepy, right? And there are times that I must admit that it's better when your brain is not like fully like awake and you're not super tapped into your honors. Because what if you have all this energy and you feel like so awake and there's nothing for you to do? Like, what would you do? Just like pause here for a moment on this live. I want you to think about what would you actually do if you had all the energy of the world, if you felt like you were at your whole, like most whole state. Like, can you picture like the feelings that rise from feeling whole? Like how you start to imagine like how you can start imagining like yourself moving from one thing to next, or doing things like in a very productive state, smiling, happy. How does that feel like, right? So that's pretty much what we're talking about. When you have all this amount of energy available and you don't have much to do, then what do you end up doing? So this is why sometimes it's good to have some parts of your brain kind of sleepy, um or like parts of yourself that you could still feel in, but that they are not expressed fully and deeply. Observational challenges. Direct detection remains elusive. We might never observe parallel realities directly due to fundamental limitations. That's just what I said. Like your eyes can only see it so much, but what's invisible to the eye, what's happening behind the scenes is what you cannot see, as although you can still feel. And this is why I tap so much into meditations on the power of feeling and the power of bringing awareness to what's happening around you, so you can start to listen to your body and start to see what's beyond the surface, what is beneath the surface, what's beyond this here and now. Implications of parallel realities. So let's look into these 4 columns here. Reality question. Our perception of reality becomes fluid. Alternative selves. I love this part right here. Versions of you exist with different choices. What does it mean, different choices? Maybe right now you are living 4 different realities and you attracting things from this 4 perspectives. So like a version of you wants to become super famous, like a famous like pop star. Another version of you wants to become a teacher. Another version of you wants to be retired. Another version of you wants to be the family. So if there are 4 different versions of you within you wanting 4 different things, where do you think you stand at? How do you see your thoughts, your feelings in your mind? Confused. Somebody put it in here in the chat. Confused, annoyed, disappointed. Jack said, lost. Jack, that's exactly it. So being lost is a good thing. Being lost is it fun to be lost? Like, how do you feel when you feel lost? Okay, somebody said hopeless. Exactly. How do you feel when you feel hopeless? Like life's not worth living. Yeah. And how do you feel when life is not worthy living? Doing it, nothing. Okay, here, see, doing nothing. So this doing nothing is this state of inertia that many people are living on right now. And I'm not gonna use the word depression or depressed, but when you're not feeling like doing anything, yes, there are times that you're just coming from a place of like, it's just because I'm whole, it's just because I'm realized, it's just because I'm grateful, I have everything I need, so I'm not feeling like doing anything. Well, you gotta figure out if you're actually being very honest with yourself, whether this is the right answer, or if you're just fooling yourself around and in reality, you are feeling all those things that I've just mentioned in the last few seconds that makes you ultimately not feel like doing anything. Because it is like a snowball effect, right? Like, oh, I feel like regretful of this, therefore I feel demotivated. And how do I feel when I feel demotivated? Lazy. How do you feel when you feel lazy? That I'm not competent. How do you feel when you're not competent? That I'm not disciplined. So all these different feelings are negative, right? And one just keeps pulling the other and the next and the next. And this is all based um on pretty much how you're not paying attention to your feelings, and how like what's operating beneath the surface is within this like different levels that I'm bringing onto you. Does that make sense? So, sorry, I just hit in my screen here, and you're seeing my screen watching myself. But the third one here, the third topic is free will redefined. All possible choices happen somewhere. So when you're confused, when you are vibrating from these four versions of you that wants different things, you're not in alignment, therefore the free will prevail from what is the highest likelihood of happening from that place. So for example, if it's easier and if it's more reachable to the third version of you actually go out and get babies, then this is the version that's going to vibrate. If the version of you who wants to become a pop star is more focused, disciplined, and it's like shutting down all the other things that are not relying aligned to that version of theirs, then all the other versions, desires and feelings and impulses or voices will also fall away. This is why I always bring on to my clients, find your purpose and make sure that all of you knows what that is. So you are always available to work on your purpose, no matter how shitty or how bad your day is going, no matter how demotivated you feel. But by knowing and having certainty of what that path is, you should be good to go. Technological revolution. Quantum computers leverage multiple realities. Big Brother. Do you think this is what's happening? We're living in a Big Brother. There are all those different cameras. They're capturing all those different versions of you and what they're doing. And at the end of your life, you will meet God and you will look at every scene and you'll be like, okay, maybe I do deserve go to heaven, maybe I don't. Who is actually the one who's deciding that? And is there such a thing as after physical death, like your soul is predestined to go left or right? How do we know? Criticism and controversies. So there's a metaphysical overreach. Some argue this theories cross from physics into metaphysics. They address questions in science cannot be answered. Falsibility problem calls proper criterion for science requires falsifiability. Many multiverse models fall this test. There are lots of researches now on parallel realities, and the more Instagram, TikTok, and this like spiritual new age revolution continues to take over, it gets easier and easier to start to realize the game we're all playing and what are we all up to on a daily basis. There's a phrase, very famous phrase in Brazil, especially in the hometown I live, that's called "We are together and mixed." Like in Portuguese, it says "tamo junto." So it's like "estamos juntos," like we are, but like the "estamos" is like abbreviated into this like "tamo" version of Portuguese word, just to make it like a little more like a slang. Tamo, juntos of together, and mixed meaning like we're all mixed. So I mix with you. If I vibe with you, we start to mix and I become a little bit like you become a little bit of me. I might like turning into this like version of you, which is not really a version of you, is a version of me, but I would insist that is a version of you until I'm in acceptance. I will not admit that is a version of me until I fully accept this part of me. But because there's so much self-hate, and there's what happens a lot of the times, there are parts of you that you lose. There are either too much loved by you or too much hated by you. And when you repress, what you suppress. What is that phrase? What you repress, suppress, right? Like everything that you repress at some point explodes. So that's pretty much what happens if you're not paying attention to what's actually happening. You will kind of lose that thing right there that we are talking about. Quantum computing, practical technologies leveraging quantum mechanical advanced capacity. They may provide indirect evidence. Cosmological revolution, our understanding of reality could fundamentally transform. The multiverse may become the new paradigm. maybe. And that's pretty much the end of my presentation here. Because we have a very short group today, I'm not gonna open for questions in this live. I'm gonna open for questions through YouTube. So those who watch this video will be able to refer to my YouTube video. Oh, sorry, to the comments or to my Instagram, and then I'll reply to you there. But again, I just want you to understand that if you're not feeling whole, that means you must start this work of retrieving parts of yourself. So retrieval. And this is like my main line of work, is helping people to recover lost pieces of themselves. Like I have an entire course that is about unlocking freedom, unlocking creativity. I believe when you retrieve lost pieces of your soul, you also reclaim your creativity. So like if your creativity is now at 20%, you want to bring it to 100%. How do you do that? How do you like what would your life be like if you could feel like more creative, more passionate, more driven, more present? That's the goal, right? Like more present, more creative, more driven, more confident. With all these traits, then you can 10x your day, which means you can 10x your finances, you can 10x the quality of your relationships, you can 10x max up in different areas of your life. And some people are better, including myself, doing things with the assistance, with the guidance of a mentor. So a mentor is someone who will walk you through the path, who will guide you through practice. So they are practices, they are highly important to retrieve parts of your soul that I don't recommend you just try to do this by yourself, because there are things that happen in your head, in your heart, how you feel, that you want to have a facilitator to make sure you're not going crazy, that you are actually peaceful, that you're actually sane. And I feel like I missed that so much. Like I had to figure out everything by myself, which it's a plus in a way, because now I get to do this for others, for people like you, who is curious about this, who hasn't tried yet doing work with parts of themselves or reclaiming this lost piece of themselves. But it's all about, integration, alignment. So this work of alignment, integration takes energy, takes somebody with great intelligence, with the support needed for you to step back into your true soul. When you do so, when you step back into your path, into your purpose, into your wholeness, you start to attract more, you start to do less, you start to feel less tired, and you start to be more powerful. And ultimately, becoming more powerful will also will also help you attract many more blessings and amazing things in life. So if you're curious about working with me, about working with a holistic mentor, and trying any of the methods that are out there to recover lost pieces of yourself, I'm gonna put a link of my Calendly below this video, and I'll be more than happy to walk you through a this process, and I'll give you a soul retrieval practice one-on-one with me for free. But I'm only doing this to those who sign up in the link below and schedule a session with me, and I have only 10 slots. So make sure you grab yours, as I promise you, this is going to be worthy of your time. You will realize right on our one-on-one session how this work is needed for you, my friend. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the comments. Again, direct questions will be answered via my Instagram, which is D for Delta Ra Maria. So at D for Delta Ra Maria. on